didn't get before. And then Alan as well, I want to thank you for being involved too, because you give us that perspective from someone who supports their team that's been through the shit.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it'd just be all about the glory boys at the top.
I'm so glad that's now migrating to the other Hull fans in the room. But there we go.
Okay, and all the other co-hosts, of course. Andy Smith, people might remember, did a couple of shows in the first couple of years with me and Tom. So thanks to him. Rich Wilkinson, Rich Langley, who's here. Dom Hodgson, Lee Whitnell and Brian Davies have all done shows this year. Thanks to those guys, they've helped give us a more fun product, I think, this year to listen to. I say product, like people pay for it. Everyone else who's guested on the show or featured on an SLP show, I want to thank them. I want to give particular thanks to Rich Wilkinson for the music and Mark Wilkinson for the logo. No relation to each other, but they're some of the kind of talent that goes into the show, so thanks to those guys for that. The sponsors, we had Daniel Hull, who sponsored us for a big part of the early part of this season. We've got Rob Ordish, who sponsors us still now, and hosts the 200 Spectacular. We've got Dom Hodgson, obviously, through his online kind of whatever they do, internet technology.
We still don't know.
It's the internet, isn't it?
I want to thank James Gordon over at Love Rugby League, because they've helped give us a bit of a push with putting us on their site and stuff this year, which has helped. And James Mudderman of JK Artwork, because I got a nice print of an old picture of his painting of Central Park, and I think a few other people have taken advantage. So thanks to all those guys. Huge thanks to everyone who's made a donation or bought some merchandise from us. There's too many people there to mention individually, to be honest, but every single penny is appreciated, small or large. It certainly means we can do more stuff with the show. Everyone who's made an effort to meet up in person, either with us hosts or amongst themselves. So you guys have all met up, possibly independently of even me being there, which is fantastic as well, when people get to meet up. Rob, a big driver of the SLP meetups, actually, so you should get thanks especially for that. Then I think the simple final one is every single person who has taken the time out to send us a match review, a news review, fill in the start of season previews or end of season review forms, for every retweet, for every like, for every share, for every listen. Thank you all is what I want to say. I never thought I'd get to 200 episodes of this show, or we would, should I say. And I did a look at the numbers, and the average number of listens per show over the entire duration is between 450 and 500, which is kind of, we've had peaks and troughs in that time. Right now we're in that zone, which is weird, as we get to 200. So people, keep listening, keep sharing, and keep giving us your feedback, because it is the show that is brought to you by fans for fans. So and we're all fans, no matter what we think about who's a supporter or who's not. We're all fans at the end of the day, and we're all the SLP family. So I want to thank everyone for that. And whilst I'm thanking people, I suppose it's a nice segue into one of the special features, one of the other special features we've got for this episode, which is the interview that I carried out over the last few days with Barrie McDermott. So thank you to Barrie for giving up your time. As part of our 200th episode celebrations, I'm joined on the line by celebrity member of the SLP family, Barrie McDermott. Barrie, thanks for joining us. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, and less than a celebrity. I cover the everyman slot, me. I cover the ordinary bloke, the ordinary punter, so yeah, pleased and privileged having listened to so many great debates and great perspectives and point of view. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Brilliant. Yeah, well, of course, me and you, Barrie, we know that the first episode of SLP was in January 2014, and I thought it'd be nice to us to reflect on what has changed in rugby league, good and bad, during our 200 shows, and what we hope we might see over the next 200 shows. We're going to leave league structure to one side, because that's changed. It will change again. There's nothing me and you can do about that one, Baz. So let's start with what changes and what things you've seen that have excited you over the time that SLP has been around.
Well, for me, it's always been, and having worked in that space for a while, it's always been about the young players. Always about young players coming through, establishing themselves right the way back. If you look at, maybe when Sam Burgess popped into the Bradford team, getting really excited about the potential of him how far he could go. He played in a New Zealand Test series as a really young, untried and tested kid. Then went over to Australia, South Sydney, and he's now one of the iconic players for the last decade or so over in the NRL. So we continue to churn out good kids. So when we lose established players, either to retirement or the other cord or to the NRL, we then pop up with another one, a George Williams, a Joe Burgess, a John Bateman, Stevie Ward, all those great players that come along, and Ben Curry. You get really excited about them. They make their own way in the game, and we soon forget about the player that had that number or that role or that position before. So the thing that gets me excited is watching those young talented players actually achieve that potential.
Yeah, of course. I mean, probably back just before we started SLP, you'll have been working with some of the next generation to come through. So who are the players you're particularly proud of seeing emerge over the last 4 years that you've had involvement with?
I think the one that I look at, that I really can see a stamp on his game that I've put in there when I was coaching and working with, is Brad Singleton.
Yeah.
To watch him play for Barrow Island, young, raw-boned Cumbrian lad, bring him down to Leeds. He actually lived in an house that I've got in Leeds. He was a lodger in one of my houses, and himself to be the character that he is now, the leader that he is, and lots of people influence you as a player. You know, you take little bits from everybody you come across, players you play with, coaches that coach you, and then all the different mentors that influence you in different ways. So I think probably Singo is the one that I look at, and I think, you've made the absolute most of the opportunity in front of you. And, you know, he's not got much in terms of talent. His talent is his heart is the size of a lion. So I get a special little bit of pride when I watch him play.
He was in the stats roundup a lot this year for the amount of tackles he's made. Are you a bit disappointed that he's making so many tackles but not giving away more penalties, Barrie?
Well, he's not doing it. He's not doing it right. He's making too many. I used to say that to my coaches when I used to say, Barrie, you've only made 22 tackles, and he said they don't want to run on me, coach. Who can blame them? They end up with a bloody lip or a busted nose.
What about some of the changes we've seen in some of the sides? I mean, 2014 was Castleford's sort of emergence now as one of the top teams when they got to that Challenge Cup final, and since then they've become one of the top most exciting teams to watch, and then we've seen the emergence of Toronto, the growth of Toulouse, and Catalans win their first trophy. Which of the sides have excited you over the last 4 years?
Definitely Cass, because I've got some personal ties to Cass with Darryl Powell and Ryan Sheridan, and they remind me a lot of my hometown club, Oldham. They're a town. There's only a small number of people in that town, but they all get behind. When the side's playing good stuff, they all get there in numbers. And that Sweet Caroline that sings out after every game, and Eddie Hemmings, who I work with on TV on Sky, me and him, when we are at Cass, some of the people that we work with on the gantry can't wait to get in the car and go home. But if we're at Cass and Cass win, I'm stood singing Sweet Caroline like with the rest of them, and I know Eddie loves it as well. So yeah, they create a really good atmosphere.
You know what?
They play some good stuff as well. They play some really entertaining stuff to watch as well.
Yeah, definitely. One of my standout memories from this year, but of the whole period of doing SLP actually, was after the Magic weekend this year in Newcastle, walk into the bar on the corner just as you get into Chinatown, and someone requesting Sweet Caroline be put on the jukebox, and just the whole pub going up and singing it, mostly Cass fans, apart from the odd Leeds fan that was with us outside having a sulk.
I'm a rugby fan. At my core, I'm a rugby league fan, and I love to watch a good game. So when I'm working in my job as a Sky commentator or pundit or whatever the term is, sometimes I can get so lost in the game that I'm actually the fan.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking like a fan, and sometimes I get a bit tongue-tied, and some of the things that I say do make sense occasionally. Most of the times it's just the ramblings of a fan, but that's because...
That's why you belong on SLP.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the game just gets hold of you sometimes. So, yeah, I have enjoyed watching Cass. I've also enjoyed watching Hull become the force that they have in the last 2 years. I know it's been they've frittered away a little bit towards the end of this season. They're toiling a little bit, and I do genuinely believe it's in a large part to the injuries that they've got to so many key players.
Yeah, at least they were fun to watch when they still had Kelly and Connor on the pitch, and that's been a large part of the last year or so, hasn't it?
Yeah, and knowing the game as I do, I do know the game, I understand the game, I study the game, and I reckon I've got a pretty good idea how sides need to go about their game to win. Whether it's the beginning, in the middle when it's sunny, and then towards the end when it's wet. But I love to watch the unpredictable. I love to watch the Albert Kellys and the Luke Gales of this world that can just do something, that the Greg Edens and all to that, to a certain extent, who just do things that if you were coaching them or you were coaching against them, you just shrug your shoulders and say, if it comes off, you're a legend. If it doesn't, you might as well sit down on the bench because you won't be forgiven. But yeah, some great players in the Hull F season, in the Hull FT team that are available this season.
The other thing that's really excited me, particularly in the last 12 months, but you've seen a bit of growth of it over the whole time SLP's been going along, is the rise of the women's game and the disability game. Both the learning disability, physical disability and wheelchair has all really boomed, and I know that's something you're passionate about as well, Barrie.
Yeah, definitely. When I look at some of the other prominent sports in our country, a lot of the reasons that they have it over us is the accessibility that they've got and the ease in which people can play it. It's a difficult game, is rugby league, and it hurts. It hurts. I just had an operation in the off season there to replace my actual ball and socket of my shoulder because of all the shenanigans that I was doing as a young man in my early 20s, and there's a price to pay week in, week out, and a sacrifice you've got to make. But there's a sacrifice after.
They're the hidden victims of the shoulder charge being taken out of it, aren't they? Surgeons. If
they'd have banned the shoulder charge when I was playing, I might not have needed a new metal shoulder, but there you go. I look at the PDRL, the physical, the learning disability, the fact that there are more places to play our game. Wheelchair rugby league is a really full contact, full blooded sport that it definitely is rugby league, but it's not as rigid as rugby league. It's got its own set of skills as the wheelchair game, and then I don't think you can see or you can categorise women's rugby league as a niche sport. I think they've been playing rugby league for a long time. The women's game has been around, and for those girls who take it seriously, and as seriously as their male counterparts, it's the only thing in their lives. And I've got to know quite a few of them, particularly over the last 12 months, having watched a few games, met some of the players. I had a newfound respect for what they do and the commitment, the sacrifice that they make. So we have made so many different strides. If you took the Masters game in that as well, I've played quite a few of those games in my time. Touch and pass, if you look at that, we have more people playing. I still believe the biggest difference that we could make to participation in our game would be in the schools and getting all kids playing more rugby league in schools.
Yeah.
And you're right, not everybody can play it because it is for a certain mentality. But if you look at the year sevens, the year eights, whenever of a similar size, and you make the game as basic as you can, and you just see whether players have an aptitude for it or not, then you can then signpost those to amateur clubs instead of trying to get the best players from the amateur clubs. So we do have a lot of things right.
Yeah, I think one of the great things that has developed over the last 4.5 to 5 years is the inclusivity of rugby league, that anyone can find our version of rugby league that they can feel comfortable playing. I could go and play touch and not be as scared and terrified as I certainly would be playing full contact against blokes like you, Barrie.
Yeah, and if you were playing touch and pass against somebody like me, there's a good chance that you could beat me with your pace, you could beat me with your agility, and feel like you're at least on a level playing field. So yeah, we've got a lot of things right, and there's a lot of things that we can rightly be proud of. And Somebody told me back in the early days that rugby league was born out of an argument, and we've been bickering